Hey guys, welcome to part B. This packet again is going over division of fractions with negatives. And this is basically just like part A, but more practice. So, on the very first problem, I have negative 2/3 divided by 4/5. I see that the signs are different and I'm dividing, so I know that my answer is going to be negative. And I also see that I'm dividing, so I'm going to use keep, change, flip. From there, I'm going to multiply across. 2 times 5 is 10. 3 times 4 is 12. And the signs are different, so my answer is going to be negative. And then I could probably simplify this some more. So I think, do 10 and 12 have a common factor? They do. They can both be divided by 2. So then I'm going to get negative 5 over 6. For B, remember that this is a fancy way, like a high school way to show division. You kind of use a giant fraction bar. So this problem basically is the same as negative 1/4 divided by negative 2/5. Then when I do keep, change, flip, I got negative 1/4 times negative 5 halves. And now I can just multiply across. 1 times 5 is 5. 4 times 2 is 8. And since both of the factors were negative, I know my answer is just going to be a positive. Moving right along, for C, I'm multiplying, so I don't have to do any keep, change, flip. I can just use the multiplication algorithm and multiply across. 1 times 1 is 1. 4 times 2 is 8. And since the factors are both negative, my product is going to be positive. For D, that's very similar to a problem from part A, and there's a couple ways to do it. First, conceptually, we're trying to figure out how many 1.5s go into 9. So you could probably do it in your head and just think, if I have $1.50 and I repeat $1.50, how many times would I repeat it until I get to a whole, or until I get to 9? But keep, change, flip is a good way to do it if you're stuck. So I'm going to try and do it that way. Before I can do keep, change, flip, I have to write negative 9 as a fraction, and then I have to write 1 1/2 as an improper fraction. So 1 1/2 visually would look like this. And if I want to write it as all halves, I can just think the whole is 2 halves. So we have a half and another half, and then a third half. So that's the same as 3 halves. Now I can do keep, change, flip. So I keep the 9 over 1, the negative 9 over 1. I change division to multiplication, and I flip 3 halves and do the inverse, 2/3. Now I multiply across. 9 times 2 is 18. 1 times 3 is 3. And since one factor is negative and the other factor is positive, different signs multiply and give us a negative. From there, I got 18 divided by 3, which is 6. And again, I keep the negative sign. So our answer is negative 6. All right. These last few are in multiple choice form. Just to kind of trick you, but also to give you practice, like state test practice. So what's the product of these two negative fractions? To find the product, I can just multiply across. 1 times 3 is 3. 4 times 7 is 28. And since both factors were negative, my answer is going to be positive. You can kind of check down here. You see they're trying to trick you because they put the negative form of the answer and the positive form of the answer. So you just have to know that the answer is C. I bet if we like The other mistake they're trying to catch kids with is this answer. And if you got that, you probably saw this and you were like, oh, I'm going to do keep, change, flip without thinking it's already multiplication. So if you did this, which is incorrect, you would get this. And then you multiply across, you would get this. So that's how you would get this incorrect answer, which is wrong. So the answer is C. Don't let them trick you. All right. Number 2, this one is an order of operations problem. We have inside the parentheses subtraction. So we're going to do that subtraction first. So we have 3/4 minus 7/8. And I can't subtract fractions unless their denominators are the same. So I know that 4 goes into 8, so I'm going to multiply this by 2/2. And then I get this equivalent fraction of 6/8. And now I can bring down the minus 7/8. From there, you guys should use an open number line and see what we're left with. So we got 6/8. A woman just walked through here at the auditorium. I think she thinks I'm insane. I'm talking to myself, but I'm talking to you through my iPad. So 6/8 minus 6/8 equals 0. And I want to subtract a total of 7/8, so I got one more left. Gives us -1/8. And that's only the first part of the problem, so now I know what this part equals. I have -1/8. Now I rewrite the rest of the problem. From there, I can use keep, change, flip, because I have -1/8 divided by 2/3. So I'm going to do keep, change, flip. 1 times 3 is 3. 8 times 2 is 16. The factors have different signs, so my answer should be negative, and the answer here is A. I hope... Oh, wait, is there another one? There's one more. Okay. Last problem. Again, this is an order of operations problem. And inside these parentheses, there's something to do first. So the first thing we're going to do is -1/4 minus 1/2. Let's make the denominators the same. So I'm going to take 1/2 and turn it into fourths. 1/2 is equivalent to 2/4 because they're both a half, but also because you can multiply by 2/2. So this problem can be rewritten as -1/4 minus 2/4 divided by -4/7. So now let's figure out what this equals. I'm going to use a number line. And I'm starting at -1/4 and going down. But I'm just going to put a 0 up over here just as a reference. So -1/4, and then we're going to go down 2/4. And as we do that, we're getting deeper and deeper basically in the basement or farther and farther away from 0. So it's sort of like adding 1/4 plus 2/4 is 3/4 underground. So we're at -3/4. So now our problem becomes this, -3/4 divided by, and I just bring this down, -4/7. Now I'm going to do keep, change, flip, so -3/4 times -7/4, and I can multiply across. 3 times 7 is 21. 4 times 4 is 16. All right, so I'm going to make some space. I got my answer now. And I look over to my answer choices, and I'm like, what the heck, state test? I thought I had my answer right here, and it's not even listed here. I don't really know. Ooh, what am I even doing? What am I going to do? And if you're telling me what to do, I think you're an insane person because you're talking to a computer, and I can't hear you. That's not how this works. But 21/16, I think this is the answer, because I know 21/16 is more than a whole. Let me just make sure. So 16/16 would make one whole, and then that leaves me with 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. That leaves me with 5/16 left over. and I know my answer is positive because I divided two negatives. So it looks like the correct answer is D. Awesome job if you figured out that second one, or this problem on your own, because it is a state test level question. The secret word is auditorium part 2, because I haven't moved. But you're going to move to part C. Okay, bye.